Hello, my name is Paula Hughes, and welcome to the Power of Tapping into Your Intuition. I'm the founder and lead coach at Directing Paths LLC, and I'm excited to share this webinar with you on some of the many benefits that you will receive when you learn to tap into your intuition. So let's get started. These are some of the things we're going to talk about today. We're going to begin with the journaling exercise, which I will go into detail a bit shortly. We're going to really define what is intuition, how do you tap into your intuition, and how does trauma impact your intuition. We're then going to finish off with a mindfulness activity. So we're going to go full circle. Before we get into what intuition is, I'm going to ask that you pull out a piece of paper and a pen and write down your goal. Any goal that you've currently had in mind, you're not quite sure how to get to it, maybe resources are a problem, maybe time is a problem, but what is something that you are trying to achieve? What's a short-term goal you currently have? Take a moment and write that down. If you prefer to put it in your phone or a tablet or a computer, you can do that as well. I just personally think there's some power that happens when you physically write something out. But go ahead, take some time, think about it. If it's something that is truly a desire of yours, you likely go to bed thinking about it, wake up thinking about it. It could be a business venture, it can be a relationship, it can be some different ideas that you might have for your community. Whatever that is, go ahead and take some time to write it down. And once you've done that, put it to the side. We'll come back to it at the end. So let's talk about the definition of intuition. So I pulled both of these definitions from just a regular dictionary that I thought was applicable for this webinar. So the first one is the ability to understand something immediately without the need for conscious reasoning. So that's the first one. It's talking about more so having that gut feeling. So you may not have anything tangible to say why you feel a way that you do, but you know you feel that way. Another definition is a thing that one knows or considers likely from instinctive feeling rather than from conscious reasoning. So these two things are pretty much saying the same thing. It's an instinctual gut feeling. So that feeling might tell you to make a left instead of making a right. Entering this store instead of entering that store. Engaging in this person versus not engaging in this person. So this is just a basic fundamental definition of what this is. So what happens when you follow your intuition and you are now operating in alignment or you're in your flow? So when you have made a decision, it could be to open up a new business, it can be to engage in a romantic long-term relationship, and everything aligns internally, you feel good, you're sleeping well, externally, you're seeing the fruits of your labor. Maybe the cash is flowing in, the customers are flowing in. There's something that's happening almost effortlessly. You're not doing a lot of work to make that happen. That is operating in your flow. You are literally flowing in blessings or flowing in positivity. Good things are happening. Now, there's a reverse to that. When you're not operating in your flow, what does that look like? It can be a physical feeling, so stress, anxiety. For some, I know for me, my stomach will hurt. I might, feel the sudden urge to be like, hey, I have to go to the bathroom. You have to do something. Your body is trying to release something. It's giving you all these signals like red flag, not a good decision. That's how you know you are not in alignment. So there are internal things that are happening. There could be external things that are happening. Maybe if you're in a relationship, you're not being treated well. Maybe if you're in the new job, you're not feeling it. You feel like you're being overlooked. If you're in your own business, you're not getting that clientele you're looking for. There are a lot of ways that negativity can happen because you're not aligned. You're not on that correct path. So pay attention to that. Let's take this and even a little bit even further about trauma. Trauma greatly impacts our intuition. It impacts your ability to trust yourself. You find yourself second guessing and over explaining, which when you're following intuition, you're going to have to trust yourself. And then sometimes what's happening doesn't always represent a true depiction of a current crisis. So due to the impact of trauma, you might be hyper aware, hypersensitive, hyper alert, always on edge, always kind of maybe you're seeing a situation and you're a bit of a negative Nancy, or you feel, this has happened to me in the past, so I'm just always on alert because I don't want to be hurt again. That's your body's way of protecting you. Your brain, your spirit, that's their way of protecting you, which is good because you don't want to go back into that traumatic experience. But you can overuse that and misread a situation, misjudge a situation because of the trauma that you've experienced. So when that happens, you have to sit back, recenter, refocus, and figure out, is this a dangerous situation? Or is my perception of this dangerous? And it's not an easy thing to do because trauma plays a number on your brain. There are chemical things happening in your brain as a result of trauma, but it can be unlearned. It can be adjusted. And more than likely, there's also something in you, intuition, discernment. There's something in you that's saying, I need to fix this because you don't always want to be in that fight or flight syndrome, that fight or flight stance. You don't want to stay there. The body wasn't meant for you to stay there. So you have to learn how to slowly peel those layers back and see, what do I need to do to start to trust again, to trust myself again? You're not even being asked to trust the situation around you. How can I trust that when I don't feel something is right, it's not right? Or how do I trust when I feel something is right, that is actually right? So you want to get to that point. So we're going to do a mindfulness activity. I want you to follow my voice, and I want you to breathe in and breathe out as I ask you to. Now, when you breathe out, I want you to make the sound. And with each sound, you're going to release tension, anxiety, and stress. All right? So let's get started. Take a deep breath in. Hold it. Now exhale. Let's do that again. Breathe in deeply, deeply. Your chest should rise, and then breathe out. Breathe in again. Now with each breath, you're drawing in positivity, you're holding that, and you're releasing the negativity. Let's do it one more time. Breathe in positivity, and breathe out the negativity. Now, how do you feel? Be mindful of how you feel in this moment. Maybe you hear outside noise. Maybe you're outside and you're listening to this in your earphones, and if you pull one out, do you hear the birds now? If you're indoor, do you hear the sound of running water, the sound of the air conditioner, maybe the heater, depending on where you are? Are you more aware of the color of the room? What this does is it helps you to refocus and to recenter. So often we get so anxious with day-to-day life, with what's happening in the news and the media, with the trauma that's all around us, or the trauma that you might be dealing with currently, that we forget to breathe. And breathing helps us stay balanced and refocused. And it often will help you to tackle that issue that seemed overwhelming. And maybe that issue is no longer overwhelming. So what I wanted you to do now, take a moment, pull out that piece of paper, the one you wrote your goals on at the beginning of this exercise. Pull that out. Look at that goal that you wrote. Does it seem as impossible now that you've recentered? If it does seem impossible still, write down why. What is keeping you from reaching that goal? What is blocking you from reaching that goal? If it does seem a bit more possible, why does it seem more possible? Write that down. What about that? What are some steps you can take to get to that goal? Take steps. You'll feel less anxious when you take steps. How do you feel writing? What is your gut telling you? Don't even think about it. As you write your steps, just write. Let the intuition guide you. Just write. It doesn't have to make sense now. It doesn't have to seem possible right now. You're just writing. You're visualizing. You're manifesting. You're manifesting based on a centered you. And I challenge you to continue every day. Do this activity, even if it's just 5 minutes off the day. And maybe eventually you can get to 30 minutes, and then maybe you can get to an hour. But continue to do this. Continue to refocus. The more you rely on your intuition, the more you see a positive result from that, the more you'll begin to trust yourself. Okay. Now, if you would like to reach me, I want to thank you guys all for joining in, for listening in. I can be reached at www.directingpaths.com. This webinar will be made available on this website, so if you're listening in, you're already here. You can also email me at paula.hughes@directingpaths.com. And also, I have a free Facebook support group called Healing in Hindsight, where we post inspirational messages, feedback, advice on how to deal with situations that are tough, all private, all personal, within the group, safe space to share. So feel free to check that out. Thank you for listening and getting to this point. If you have any questions, concerns, you would like to schedule a call with me or consultation, go ahead and go over to the contact part of this webpage, put in your information, and I will happily get back to you and see if we're a good fit. Again, thank you so much for listening in. You have a good one.